all to the symposium titled Driving the Change, the Dynamic Role of Pakistan's Youth and Civil Society in Climate Resilience. Let us begin the proceedings with recitation of Holy Quran. May I now invite Qari Anisur Rahman Sahab for the recitation.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان صدق الله العظيم. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. The Beneficent hath made known the Quran. He hath created man. He hath taught him utterance. The sun and the moon are made punctual. The stars and the trees adore. Jazak.
Please rise for the national anthem. Thank you, everyone. The climate crisis, they are being manifested in the form of perma-crisis now. It's becoming a huge challenge, especially for the developing countries of the global south, which are facing or bearing the brunt of climate crisis without making any contributions to the global greenhouse gas emissions. In this context, even effective climate action is not helping. Why? Because concerted action is not being taken. And for concerted action, every segment of the society needs to be made part of it, specifically youth and civil society. Without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Abid Suleri, Executive Director, SDP, and 9 Advisory Committee to set the scene and for the welcome remarks.
A very good morning, dear Excellencies on head table, dear It's indeed, and diplomatic community, it's indeed a great pleasure to join hands with Ministry of Climate Change and with the Prime Minister's Youth Program to welcome and to host our chief guest today, the Secretary General of Commonwealth Secretariat. Welcome, ma'am, to Islamabad, to Pakistan, and to this vibrant gathering where you will be able to interact with future of Pakistan. Just to begin and to introduce STPI to our respected guest, Sustainable Development Policy Institute, it is the oldest independent policy think tank in Pakistan. It was founded as part of Agenda 21 of Pakistan. So in 1992, during Rio, when Pakistan presented its national conservation strategy, one of the recommendation of national conservation strategy was to have an independent policy think tank. And after the approval of cabinet, STPI as an independent organization was formed. Since last almost 34 years, we now introduce ourselves as shadow government. We remain part of solutions, and we don't hesitate or pose any reluctance to point out where government needs to do the course correction. And we not only point out, we also point alternatives that what can be done differently. And I'm thankful to the successive governments that we have kept our impartiality, and we have remained part of solution, especially on the issues of economy, climate change, food security, health, education, international relations, and many others. And that's why that when someone asks me and I have paucity of time, I tell them that we are a shadow government. The second and more personal reason for welcoming you, it's a payback time. I am a Commonwealth scholar. So I did my PhD on a scholarship which was funded by Commonwealth Secretariat of Commonwealth Universities. And that was a turning moment in my life. So I can see the youngsters who are sitting here, and I can actually tell them that why this visit of Secretary General is so important, that Commonwealth has been contributing to shape the thought leaders, the future of Commonwealth 56 member countries by providing them opportunity to go and get trained in the universities in UK, and then bring back the knowledge that they could. So I always acknowledge the support of Commonwealth in my formative years that enabled me to contribute to Pakistan. Now, ma'am, when we are talking of today's event and the topic is extremely pertinent. We are talking of drivers of change who can play a dynamic role in climate resilience. And that's Pakistani youth and civil society. And again, credit goes to Ma'am Rumina Khurshid Alam, the coordinator for Prime Minister on climate change, and Rana Mashood Sahab, the focal person for Prime Minister Youth Program, to actually be a catalyst in this transition, whereby youth and civil society, they can actually try to play their role in climate resilience. But when we're talking of climate resilience, it's not only about temperature and rain and water. It's also about international events that are happening around us. So, for example, in Pakistan, if we are talking of transition to a green economy, a clean and green economy, we need to keep an eye on energy prices. In order to keep an eye on energy prices, we need to see what is happening around us. In order to see that how the escalating Middle East conflict can impact on food prices. And day before yesterday, Brent was selling at $78 per barrel. After the incident in Iran, it is today selling at $81 per barrel. Yesterday's closing price. So overnight, the $3 per barrel increase, that actually affects the adaptation plan, that affects the mitigation plan, that affects the national agendas on climate resilience that different governments they prepare to pose climate resilience. Similarly, there are actually some challenge and opportunities with it as well. The major challenge is that how the policies to secure our future, green and clean planet, how they will affect us. And I can quote CBAM here, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, the policy of EU under which the exporters, they would have to actually present the emission of carbon emission at each step of supply chain. And from 2026, if that emission increased the permissible limit in EU, the exporters, they would be subject to either carbon tax or they will have to buy carbon credits. Now, it's not only EU. We know that the UK is also proposing the same. We know that whoever wins the US elections in a tit for tat reaction, US will also be coming up with its own version of CBAM. China, when all of these countries, when they will be imposing their taxes on carbon emission on export, China will also be coming with its own. And that would affect countries like Pakistan, who has all of these sovereign territories as our trading partner. So it's a challenge, but it's an opportunity. And that's where perhaps Commonwealth Secretariat and other Commonwealth governments, they can support. So there is an opportunity to adapt green technologies. There is an opportunity for a country like Pakistan to promote education on and the training and the skills on making carbon inventory. There is an opportunity to invest in accreditation labs that can accredit and certify our carbon emission levels so that our exporters, they can present those certificates in the countries where they will be exporting. And there is an opportunity for youth to actually train them in subjects for job of future. So we know that artificial intelligence and climate change, they will be affecting the future job market. So whatever we are training and studying today, perhaps 10 to 15 years after 10 or 15 years, most of that content may not be relevant anymore. Many of the disciplines and profession may not be relevant anymore. And that's where perhaps Commonwealth Secretariat can focus, can emphasize, and can ensure next scholarships or in your next training programs can include these subjects with a very particular focus on training the youth from developing countries to prepare them for a job of future. And that job of future is actually our common future. It's not only Pakistan or India or Bangladesh. We're talking of 56 countries. And I think the value addition of remaining in this Commonwealth is that these 56 nations and 56 countries, they have something in common. And that something is common is our common future, along with other members of a global community and a climate resilient future. Our food security, our energy requirements, the poverty level in the developing country members of Commonwealth states. So if I look at the map of Commonwealth countries, so there are a few countries, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and a few other which are developed countries. And then there is a whole list of countries which are developing countries. And I think this North-South collaboration, that is an extremely important opportunity through your organization, ma'am, so that using youth and using civil society, we can build a resilient future. And finally, just wanted to give you a landscape of Pakistan. One of the positive things that has happened in Pakistan that for last 10 years, the power centers, those have decentralized. So along with the traditional power centers, we have now superior judiciary, we have youth, we have very vibrant media, we have civil society. And as I said, that majority of them, they're part of solution. And they try to identify problem and they try to be part of solution wherever they are given opportunities. And I hope in your tour to Pakistan, you might have met many of those stakeholders. So I have very high hopes from Pakistan, and I have very high hopes for a climate resilient future. And we once again thank you for visiting Pakistan, for being here. And at the end, I will also like to express my gratitude to UNICEF for being a partner in today's event. And we'll also be inaugurating a COP in my city. On a personal level, as I'm also a member of COP29 Presidency's International Advisory Council. So I'll try my level best to promote our youth and civil society in this year's COP in Baku, so that maximum representation of these groups can be ensured in Baku during COP29. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining.
Thank you very much, Dr. Suleri. And indeed, some of the significant points that you have highlighted, specifically that the geopolitical conditions, they can either drive the climate action or they can exacerbate the climate crisis. So it all depends how the world wants to take action. And also in context of youth and civil society, well, I believe it's all about millennials and Gen Z now to take action collaboratively. So, and we also know that for climate diplomacy, the Conference of Parties holds a significant importance for uniting the world together for a bold and practical solution to climate change. COP has already appeared to be a crucial global platform for nations to collaborate and address pressing environmental challenges through an inclusive approach centered around different approaches and by including youth and civil society. Over the years, COP presidencies have launched different global youth delegate programs to engage more youth so they can voice their perspectives openly. We also realized the fact that last year at COP28, Pakistani youth raised the case of Pakistan very efficiently, and I can see some of you sitting here and you have been doing an amazing job. So to highlight this more and how this year Pakistan plans to go for COP29, I would like to invite the guest of honor. We have with us Madam Rumina Khurshid Alam, Coordinator to Prime Minister on Climate Change. Madam, please, if you can join us at the podium for your special remarks.
Zanib, if I can request Sam Risk to take my seat. Sam, I'm sorry for this logistic glitch. Sam is a speaker today. Please join us.
It's okay. Well, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My special regards to my very dear friend and Honorable Madam Patricia, the General Secretary of the Commonwealth, my honorable colleague and a great brother, a mentor, Rana Mashood Saab, the champion of the youth, who has done wonders in his time in Punjab, and now I'm glad that he is in the federal as well. Dr. Abid Qayyum Suleri, my dear friend Leslie, Mr. Samuel, and of course, UNICEF representatives and all the young interns from the parliament. It's a great, I want to see, where are you? And I want to see if you can clap for yourself. Great. My heart is always with the parliament, with the young interns. It's so good to have you over here. So now, and of course, all the worthy guests over here, Madam Amna, and all other friends, young interns, media, people from civil society, academia, everyone, welcome you at the PIPS. Today, when talking to the PIPS, I was sitting over there and I was just going into the flashback because now I'm not, no more youth. I was leading in the YPF. YPF, madam, I just wanted to just tell you about a little procedure of our, the forums of our parliament. I'm sure you know that we have three main forums, and one is, and I'm glad that you have met them, that we have SDGs, we have YPF, we have Women Parliamentarian Caucus, and then another forum for the Child Caucus we do have. these forums, when in 2013, that was my first term in the parliament when I came, and I just been the member of the YPF, and there was some things on which we were working, and just felt one fine day we got a little dose from our speaker, Honorable Sadiq Saab, that what you young people are doing. And I'm glad that Mrs. Zaka is here and my PIPS team over here. So from that day, I just felt that, no, we have to do something. And I'm glad that, and I'm very proudly want to share with you all that we have done amazing things, madam, which I really want to share with you. We have done a number of international conferences in which we highlighted the most serious and really concerned human rights issue. That was the issue which is still an issue, human rights violation, and now the Palestine is along with that. And I think that no one can even, I don't know, I don't have the words to comment, and that was the International Conference on Kashmir. And that was, we did not went anywhere. We invited the international community to Pakistan in this hall, and that was a huge success. Then the SAARC conference, the International Young Parliamentarian SAARC conference, which we have done again with my members, again with my colleagues, again in this hall, that was a great success of ours. And that was after that, I'm very proudly, I wanted to just say, it's not that I want to take that pride. It was not me. It was all the team, all the young people, all the drive, because I was going through with it, of course, this heading, which is saying that driving the change, the dynamic role of Pakistan youth. So I believe where there is a will, there is a way. And I very proudly want to say that my youth of my country, they are having a great will to do. And when they stand somewhere, they can achieve the goals. They can rise to the star. They have a multi-dynamic approaches. They can do work. They can do studies. They can look after their families. They can look after their mother. There are several number of people whom I know that at the time they look after their parents, they look after their sisters and brothers, they do the tuitions, they do the study, and they do the other job. So I think this youth can do. So proud of my youth. So getting back to the subject, madam, and then we have SDGs, and I'm glad on the SDGs I had a huge number of interns, and I don't know, were still there a few people who are here and not, but in that, what I felt that it's very important to have a great communication and to fill that gap, which has been somehow been among the parliamentarians and the youth. So they should come and know that how we can do the policy work, how we can go for the betterment, how we can listen to each other. And because in the end, we, the parliamentarians, are the people from you, by you, and because of you. And when it comes to the youth, of course, they are the future. And now when we talk about the climate change, I believe climate change is not a subject of Pakistan. It is not a subject of London. It's not a subject of India. It's not a subject of one country. It's not me, it's we, it's us. So when we're talking about the climate change and the youth, I think the global youth needs to be together. And madam, when we talk about the Commonwealth, I just believe that Commonwealth is a string of pearls, and I know you love the pearls. So as we talk about the string, and I believe this string have a 56 pearls. And in these 56 pearls, just imagine the youth of the 56 countries, because we all know that when we talk the pearls, they live in the shell, and with the time, passage of time, they face so many hard layers, so many storms, so many things, and then they become a pearl. So I believe this string can do wonders in the climate change. And as we all know, I don't want to go in that detail that Pakistan is a vulnerable country. We are not having that much role. We all know that. And I know the world knows that. But I just wanted to tell, with this youth, having that energy from this youth, I wanted to share, and I wanted to tell that the Pakistan youth, the challenges which we had in the past, the floods we had in the past, the issues we have been going through, but this nation is a very strong nation. They are the resilience. They know how to take the challenges, and that's the reason now I say that we don't want this youth, this country, we don't want aid. We want trade. We want to work on the equal basis. We want to take our right, and for that, I believe this COP should do the wonders and can do the wonders, and that's the reason in which the COP in my city we are going to launch today. Then again. We all know the challenges we are going through, but I believe other than the challenges, because where there are challenges, there are the solutions as well. And nothing is impossible, because when we talk about the word of impossible, the possible is already there. So if you remove I am, so possible is there. So with all those possibilities, with all those hopes, with all those belief, I believe that, and I just wanted to share with you, Madam, that what we are doing from the ministry side, we are very much engaged with the academia, because we are talking about the climate education, about the climate curriculum. We are talking about the climate task force, which we do have in different sectors. We do have in people are working in different areas, but we are looking forward to collaborate with each other, to bring everybody on board, because everyone is doing something. It's not that we are not doing anything, everyone is doing, but that is the great need, that how we can bring each other together. So we are working on that. And then of course the policy side, of course, we do have a great policy on the climate change, which we are working on that. And as we are talking about now, the next thing, which is called the carbon policy, carbon credits, these sort of things which we are already working on that. And then of course, very important, then when we talk about the climate sports, we are just trying to engage. I'm grateful with the Prime Minister Youth Program under the leadership of Mr. Rana Mashood, that he is a great, I think, a person who is having a great steering in his hand, and he's having a hold on that, in which we are trying to manage the things in a way that how we can give not only the opportunities, how we can engage these young brains, minds, and how we can bring the best of the best towards for the international and national community to represent them. And then of course, there are so many other things on which we are working, but more important right now, the academia side, the technical side, the skill side, because if we are talking about the opportunity for the business, we are talking about the climate economy. We are talking about the climate side, that how we can of course, we all know that we are not the polluters more, but yes, we are the ones who are surviving, we are suffering. But you know, when and moreover important, that it's that to go for the side of the adaptation, because of course we know, as being in the economy situation we can't go for the mitigation side more, but of course adaptation is something which we can work more. And of course, how we can bring in that, I would request that if we can come up with jointly, we can come up with some educational exchange programs in which these youngsters can get the scholarships, and on the merit, of course, they can. And I'm so sure that our youngsters are great, and in which they can come up with the great ideas, because it's moreover important to have a more exposure, to have a more knowledge, and that knowledge and exposure can do the wonders, because there is nothing impossible. And moreover important, when I say about the solutions, I would really want to put light on that, or I would request, Madam, that we need to go, when we talk about the climate, we need to go for the regional solutions, because it cannot be happen that that we cannot, because in the different forums we have seen that one strategy for everyone, that cannot be work now more, because now we have to go for the solutions, and that can be on the regional side. When I say regional, means because at the same time when Pakistan is suffering from floods, and we are facing the huge floods and the rains, heavy rains, at the same time Africa region was suffering from the droughts. So you know, there is so many things which we can help each other, how we can work, and we need to work on how we can not only build the relation, how we can come up with the consortiums, how we can do the disaster management and risk reduction. Now it's not that it's me, as I mentioned earlier, that it's we. So in that as well, light, I would really request that we need to sit again, work more, and from the ministerial side, from the government side, and from this as being the proud citizen of Pakistan, I would really like to ensure, Madam, that whatever the work plan, whatever the strategy you are going to bring, or we are going to bring together, that I would just want support is going to need it. We are going to be on that. And now getting back to the COP in my city, I would really like to thank to the ministry, to the Prime Minister Youth Program Chair, Chairman Rana Mashood Saab, that he has taken a great initiative on that and great lead, and thanks to the UNICEF as well, that we are going to bring the youngsters, though are the best of the best. They are not only going to go over there, they are going to represent the country, they are going to by this of Pakistan, they are going to highlight and talk about that what are the challenges, and not only the challenges. I would looking forward that to go totally equipped where they can talk about more about the solutions, more about the strategies, more about the climate diplomacy, because that is something which is more needed, that more about the connections, because at the same time, how we can help not only us, how we can help each other. In the end, I just wanted to once again thanks, madam, and I hope you're enjoying your journey, and I'm so glad that you made it. And I believe that when you're going to leave from Pakistan, we are not going to have only one another great friend. I believe you're going to be the more ambassador for Pakistan. So I think that we all know that you're always been a great support. You've always been a great support. You've always been a great person who always being with the Pakistan. And I think that after years when you came, you have seen that what we told you, that Pakistani people, how like they love to do not on the hospitality side, in the love sides. Our doors, our hearts are always open for you, and we would love to see you again and again. And with this note, I really want to thank everyone. May God bless you, and thank you once again to all the donors and partners who are here, and to them as well. I just wanted to say one thing, that I truly appreciate either it's UNDP, UNICEF, who oversaw, like all the ambassadors were sitting over here. I know Leslie, she is a great friend of Pakistan, and she's doing an amazing diplomacy, which I think others also need to know, that she's doing a cookie diplomacy. So she's a great cook as well. She bakes great cookies. But other than that, the love you people give for Pakistan, I truly appreciate that, and really thankful, and hope that we are going to go in the right direction. So take care, have a blessed day, look after yourself, love your country, and love the nature. Stay blessed.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ramina. And for us, you're not just somebody who represents the ministry and climate change portfolio, but also an ambassador for the youth climate diplomacy. Thank you very much for the kind words. And we are really hopeful that this year at COP29, Pakistan's case will be presented in a more efficient way. So thank you for the words. Now, we all realize that we have a youth bulge in Pakistan, and approximately 60 to 70% of the youths, they lie under the age of 30 years, whereas 29 to 30%, they lie under the age bracket of 15 to 29 years. So we have a youth potential, but when we are talking about potential, there also lies so many challenges. So in addition to the forums mentioned by Ms. Ramina, there's another important forum that has specifically been launched by the government of Pakistan to support the youth, and that is Prime Minister's Youth Program. And to highlight and talk more about the program, I would like to invite Mr. Rana Mashood Ahmed Khan, Chairman, Prime Minister's Youth Program, Government of Pakistan, for the keynote address.
A very happy welcome to Right Honorable Patricia Scotland, King's Council from Commonwealth. We are really honored to have you here. And during my interactions and the way forward, I have seen that she's a true friend of Pakistan, and she's doing wonders for forging alliances between these 56 countries and giving to Pakistan what is due to us for a very long time. And we are really thankful to you for that. And then my little sister, Romina, I'm really proud that she's heading this campaign in a very efficient way. And after her talk, I think that there is nothing left to talk. But the thing is that I really appreciate the donors, the partners who are sitting here, the youngsters who are sitting here in such big numbers. And I got a call from Honorable Speaker, National Assembly, that the interns from Parliament are also here. Am I right? So welcome to you all. And he asked me told me that I have to arrange a meeting for you and to apprise you regarding the Prime Minister's youth initiatives, and we will arrange the same in coming week, inshallah. And we are proud of you that you are doing a wonderful job, because he was full of praise for all of you. So this is the way forward. This is how we move forward. This is a Pakistan that we need. And regarding climate change, the Prime Minister Youth Program is running a very ambitious program by the name of Green Youth Movement. Out of 268 universities in Pakistan, we have established this club in 137 universities till to date, and we are going for all 268 universities. After that, we are going to colleges, we are going to schools, because this is the time that Pakistan has to stand for himself, and through the youth of Pakistan. This initiative, what we are doing is that we are educating our youngsters, and through them, we are educating their localities. They will go to their localities with the message that what we have to do regarding the climate change, and then we have to do the advocacy also, because whatever is happening here in Pakistan, our share is 0.1%, less than that. And the world, because of which this is happening, we have to tell them that we don't need any aid from you, but we need you to have your house in order. And this can only happen if youth of Pakistan can take a stand. So we are driving a very ambitious campaign. And after that, I'm really honored to announce that, because after this meeting, Honorable Secretary General is going to meet Prime Minister of Pakistan, and they both are going to announce certain initiatives which are very important for Pakistan. That I will not disclose here, because it's the right of the Honorable Secretary General and the Prime Minister of Pakistan. And after the announcement, we will be then propagating the same. But one thing I'm going to share, that we are now going to launch National Volunteer Corps. This corps, again, in first year, we are going to train more than 200,000 youngsters regarding the disaster risk management, because of the natural calamities. What is happening right now in Pakistan, we are seeing rains, we are seeing earthquakes, you name it, floods. So we have to help ourselves. So again, on the same lines of Green Youth Movement, we are now going to engage public at large also. And the logo launch of National Volunteer Corps will be done by the Honorable Secretary General today, because she and her team, a very efficient team, they are going to help us in this endeavor. So to the youth of Pakistan, my message is very clear. Please visit Prime Minister Youth Portal, see what we are doing. I will not share the details here. I will call you in my office, Prime Minister office, and we will share the details there with you. But before coming coming week, please visit the portal, see for yourself what initiatives we are taking, be it in education, technical education, arts and culture, sports, science and maths, you name it, innovation awards, Prime Minister Youth Loan Program, number of initiatives. Go through them and be part of those initiatives, because this is the way forward for Pakistan. We have to stand for ourselves. We have to fight our own fight. And we have all the trust in you. Pakistan Zindabad. And Romina, as Prime Minister is having a meeting, so I have to leave early. And also I want Dr. Abid Saab to sit there on the stage.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the significance of this youth program and the initiatives that you plan to take forward. I believe these initiatives can be very helpful in supporting youth throughout the country for taking action to mitigate and adapt to climate change and other environmental challenges. So thank you for that. Now, some of the key objectives of why we are hosting this important symposium is to discuss Pakistan's youth and civil society engagement, how they can contribute to shaping policies, commitments, and agreements during COP29, especially how their forward-looking approach can help Pakistan in driving climate action. And also through Commonwealth's platform, Pakistani youth can help in supporting driving the change for climate. Also to explore and amplify the role of the Commonwealth in empowering youth and fostering collaborative climate action, enhancing the engagement of Pakistani youth and civil society in global climate diplomacy. Also to discuss a way forward to strengthen the concept of youth-led climate justice movement, and especially how civil society can play its role to support youth from indigenous communities. And to discuss these objectives that I've just shared, we are really delighted and honored to have with us today some distinguished speakers. We have been joined by Honorable Her Excellency High Commissioner of Canada to Pakistan, Leslie Scallon. Thank you so much for joining us today. Mr. Samuel Rist, Resident Representative, UNDP. Thank you, sir. And Ms. Cynthia Kushner, Chief WASH, Climate, Environment and DRR, UNICEF Pakistan. So from these speakers, we'll be discussing the challenges and the objectives I mentioned. So I'll start with the Excellency Leslie Scallon. As Canada has been a strong advocate for climate action globally, how is the Canadian government supporting climate resilience initiatives in Pakistan, particularly those led by youth and civil society? Please, ma'am, if you can highlight the contributions. Thank you.
Honorary Secretary General, distinguished panelists and guests, government officials, fellow diplomats, and so many young people. It's a pleasure to be here. Before saying anything else, however, I would like to congratulate Dr. Suleri on your designation as a member of the COP29 International Advisory Committee. You do Pakistan and those of us intensely concerned about climate change and sustainable development proud. Congratulations. Thank you to the Prime Minister's Youth Program, the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination, and the Sustainable Development Policy Institute for bringing us together today to discuss the role of youth in climate action. And let me just say, I'm delighted to see glass bottles on the table, not plastic. I'm delighted we're not in a freezing cold, over air-conditioned room. And I'm delighted to be on a gender-balanced panel. Canada, we have a policy of only doing, whenever we can, gender-balanced activities so that women have just as much space as men. So I'm glad to see that today's panel, although not right now, but the overall panel. I have attended so many events and conferences on climate change in the past few years in Pakistan. Every time there are devastating crises that are ongoing and they're front of mind and they highlight the seriousness of the issue. I only have to think of the heat waves this summer where 30 people died in Karachi. I only have to think of Canada where we had one of our most prized towns in Alberta, in Jasper, just the worst wildfires in 100 years. And of course, earlier this summer in the Margalla Hills, we all saw this in the hills. The organizers of this conference rightly recognize that youth perspectives need to be front and center when we are thinking about how to combat climate change. As most of us already know, climate change does not affect everyone equally. And it is vulnerable groups, those who have not even contributed to climate change, that bear the brunt of the worst impacts. Example, while they're not to blame for causing climate change, they are the ones who will have to live with the consequences for decades to come. And that's not just in Pakistan, we're talking globally here. Yet while youth are the most effective, they are the most important voices and agents of change. Young people sense the urgency of climate change, which is why they speak out the loudest against it. They are angry that their leaders in charge aren't doing enough. They are also creative and full of energy and are able to think outside the box to find solutions. With that in mind, I want to provide a few reflections on what we can learn from young people and how we can support them to have a meaningful role in combating the biggest crisis of our time. First, I think that education and awareness is crucial for young people to become involved in the fight against climate change. There is much to be done in this regard. A recent study by the Population Council showed that even people directly affected by climate crisis, like the 2022 floods, often do not know about the causes of climate change. Having knowledge about climate change is an important part of being empowered to do something about it and to demand action. I am grateful for initiatives like the Prime Minister's Youth Program, which among other things promotes awareness on sustainability, or the Climate Change Education Initiative recently launched in Sindh that aims to educate teachers and students to understand and adapt to climate change challenges. While young people are exposed, they have the potential to have a huge impact on what they care about today, what action they take in their future careers. Like Sam, we as donors travel all over this country, and I've seen the impacts of climate change, man-made impacts. If you're living up north and you've got no way to heat your home, of course you're going to take down the trees. So you are effectively deforesting land slopes, which means that there are more landslides, and it means that roads are getting blocked, and these things. There's obviously infrastructure that needs to be developed that will make it possible for people to not have to do that, because you can't blame the poor farmer who needs to heat his home because his family is living there. So there are impacts we see all over the country that need to be addressed by infrastructure decisions. Canada is investing in this kind of climate awareness as well. For example, we've provided 49 million Canadian dollars to a project by the Aga Khan Foundation called Foundations for Health and Empowerment that has activities aimed at setting up youth for healthy, bright futures. This project has helped to integrate climate awareness into early childhood education curricula in selected schools across northern Pakistan, recognizing the need to promote environmental awareness to young children. We also use the Canada Fund for Local Initiatives to support youth engagement in environment and climate activities around the country. And I visited a youth group in Baluchistan, southern Baluchistan, who are working on climate awareness. And even, some of these kids, they go home and they say to their dad and mom, plastic bottle, no way, we're done. Oh, you're back. Hi. I was going to say you were so involved in the fires in the Margalla Hills when I mentioned that earlier. But anyway, it's these programs that educate even the youngest children are so important. As governments and donors, our role should also be about supporting local groups who are already using creative ways to engage youth. One of the initiatives that I'm most excited about is our winter sports program. Canada provides funding to local environmental organizations up north that are promoting sports, young youth, like ice hockey. And I've met so many people of different generations who remember not so long ago, so many girls and women didn't come out of the house in the winter. It was not an easy time up north where it was really cold. Now we go up north, we distribute hockey equipment, and we teach young boys and girls how to play ice hockey. And I was privileged to have both of my children with me the first time I went to Chitral in 2022. My daughter and son are both competitive ice hockey players, and they were coaching kids, and it was this fantastic experience. There is an environmental academy that has been created up in Chitral, and it's run by an energetic young man in his 20s who wants to promote environmentalism among young people. And I wondered if he might be here today because he's in town this week, and he's somebody we're very proud of working with. When children join the academy, they have access to sports, but they also learn about environmental stewardship. In this creative way, the academy is fostering a generation of youth who are passionate about the environment. Unfortunately, it is getting difficult year over year to find ice rinks that freeze over for a long enough season to actually play hockey. If you go to Skardu, for example, you'll see the ice is wet around the edges very quickly so that you can see. So of course, the youth in these areas can see viscerally what exactly is happening in their limit. We are working to figure out with some of these environmental groups how we can shift them away from things like ice sports to things like mountain biking and other things. So this young man he teaches bird watching, and he teaches about recycling, and there's so many things he packs into his academy. Because they can't heat the schools up north, often they have really long holidays in the coldest part of the winter. So this also serves as an activity for youth to get them out of the house and active. Beyond supporting awareness, the other thing we need to do is actively listen to what youth have to say and to provide a safe platform for them to speak. This might sound obvious, but many young climate activists still feel unheard or actively intimidated by their governments. Instead, we should bring youth voices to the table. This can mean involving youth at high-level policy dialogues and following up concretely on their input and suggestions. Youth should know that their cries for climate justice are being taken seriously. In Canada, we have the Environment and Climate Change Youth Council, in which young climate leaders, including Indigenous leaders, meet regularly with the government to provide their inputs on policy. These meetings are transparent and the youth input is recorded and made public. It is arrangements like this that can help amplify youth voices. In addition to lifting up youth perspectives, we should also invest in youth-led solutions. So it is encouraging to learn what the youth program, the Prime Minister's Youth Program, is doing. I will add that a couple of weeks ago, I direct messaged a young climate activist on X, and I invited her to lunch at the official residence. Her reaction, of course, was, "This can't be serious. Why would the High Commissioner of Canada reach out to me?" So she checked to see it wasn't a fake profile. She did accept to come, and my colleague Lucas, who's here with me, we had this wonderful lunch with her, learning about all of her engagement on climate in Pakistan. It was fantastic. Prior to arriving in Pakistan, I was the ambassador to Poland, where I led the team to a gold award for environmental sustainability. We were the first Canadian embassy in the entire network to achieve this, and we're working on the same kind of program here in Pakistan. So follow me on Twitter, X, and you'll get to track our progress. Mustaqbil mein agar hum climate change ke asrat ne nimatna chahte hain to hame najawano ki baat sunna padegi. Thank you for your attention. Shukriya.
Thank you, Your Excellency. That was an amazing message, actually. And I think what Canada is doing for Pakistan in terms of creating awareness and highlighting some initiatives, I think one of the initiatives you just highlighted is an initiative that most of us didn't know about. So definitely, Pakistan needs to support youth and programs that are supporting youth climate diplomacy. And I believe countries like Canada, they're already supporting us. And all we need to do is to support our youth ourselves also in projecting their cases and how their solutions can be made more scalable. So thank you so much for such a lovely message, Your Excellency. Now, our next speaker, Mr. Samuel Risk, Resident Representative, UNDP. So, sir, how do you perceive the current level of engagement and awareness among Pakistani youth regarding climate issues? And how is UNDP supporting Pakistan's efforts to enhance resilience, particularly in the context of youth and civil society? If you can join us here at the podium, thank you.
Thank you very much. Always very hard to follow the ambassador. I can't be nearly as exciting, but I think you might have heard, there's a particular personal, not only a professional commitment on the part of the High Commissioner in her work previously and here as well, that I think is an example for us in the development system, but also for a lot of people around here. So congratulations to many thanks to SDPI, Chairman Rana Mashood and the Prime Minister's Youth Program, Ministry of Climate Change, and a lot of colleagues for this invitation to be here today. And a special and warm welcome to Secretary General of Scotland. This is, I think, the second event with the Commonwealth in just about 3 or 4 months. And I'm really enthusiastic about how much energy you actually have to dedicate to Pakistan. I think of all of the negative things that happened around the 2022 floods, the impact on people's lives and livelihoods, the devastation, the housing, etc. The one positive thing is that it actually put Pakistan back in the spotlight for many different reasons, certainly for the impact of climate change on countries that are least contributing to the problem, but most impacted by the problem. I think we all know the numbers very well. So congratulations to all the Commonwealth colleagues for placing Pakistan on the map again, and now in a future perspective on what to do with environment and climate change from a proactive perspective. So I think, as was mentioned earlier, Pakistan is a very youthful population. 60 or 64% of the population is under 30. If you doubt that number, look around. This is actually true for this room. It's actually true for a lot of other rooms that I think should be the case as well. So I think it's really important to recognize that this is the second event in a week for me. And actually just in the same neighborhood, a few days ago, I was at the Institute for Regional Studies talking about human security and sustainable development. And the room looked exactly like this, filled with young people, interns, researchers, students who are really enthusiastic about this relationship between human security and sustainable development. And I'll try to touch a little bit upon that as I speak as well. So climate change pretty much is here to stay. And I think looking ahead in the future is becoming quite critical. It is important to figure out how Pakistan, not only for itself, but as a voice for others as well. This was the case 2 COPs ago with a discussion around loss and damage. This was the case last year as well. And hopefully in Baku and Azerbaijan, this is actually the case. So for us, whether we talk about COP City for young people, whether we talk about pre-COP events, and many congratulations to Dr. Abd Sulari for being nominated on the Global Steering Committee for the future COP as well. His voice is beyond Pakistan. Pakistan's voice is for the region, is for a lot of countries. They are the G70 plus, for others who can't speak for themselves because they are small, less influential, and I think Pakistan's voice now and in the future as well. When we talk about youth, I think there are certain stereotypes that typically come up. The youth bulge is a problem, appears to be a problem. But I think less of us talk about the opportunity that that actually brings. And there's no greater opportunity for youth in their current work and in their future work that probably does not relate to climate change and environmental sustainability. This world in the future is yours. It's not for everybody who is actually sitting behind desks now. And just to say about youth at the table, you know very well the popular saying, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. You need to be sure that you are at the table. And I think this is one of the important areas that was mentioned earlier. Being part of negotiation, being part of policy discussions, because it's about you in the future, is critical. So presence is important. It's not just a voice. It's not just something in the ether. It's not just a tweet. It's not just a post. Being present at decision-making tables is actually quite clear. And this is where I come to the link between all of the work that is done at the level of the ministry, the significant work that is being done by Ms. Rumina and the team in a very difficult environment, the policy work, the legal work. We know that it's difficult. We know that it's tough. But at the same time, if you want to be actually active, it is youth on the ground in a civil society context as mobilizers, as people that actually are in a place to change behavior, to change attitude, not only to think about what's going to change in terms of policy. I think this is where some of the opportunities actually come as well. For us in UNDP, the work on youth and civil society action and climate change is fully aligned with the programming that we do here in the country, in the region, and globally as well. And for the most part, it focuses on inclusive climate action, to promoting the groundwork and doing more to promote the groundwork for young people's nascent activities to tackle climate change and become part of this institutional environment that actually helps policy and helps programming as well. What does this look like concretely? I'll mention only 3 things because there are many, many more things that can actually be mentioned as well. Capacity building and mentorship for young people. I think knowing is one part. I think accompanying is another part. Us, UNICEF, everyone else that's around the table, GIZ is also here as well. We welcome opportunities for you to join us in either learning the science or learning the policy and the programming, but being able to build your own knowledge and skill and capacity in the future as well. This is effectively what's called becoming a social entrepreneur. You know it, and then you become a practitioner or a doer and a doer. There's another important opportunity, I think, that's coming up now, which is the link to the new government and the new parliament. So a lot of the work that is actually most interesting and engaging, and we heard a little bit about this as well, is focusing on engaging youth with parliamentarians. You may know that many of the parliamentarians in this parliament are also new parliamentarians. They too are looking for particular causes to support while they are there. Some interested in agriculture, poverty, development, industry, etc. But I suspect that there's a lot of energy around environment and around climate change, knowing how impactful it is. A single event in 2022, the flood in August just about 2 years ago, wiped away 2 million houses plus in Sindh and Baluchistan. 16 million in loss, 16 million in damage. Many people plunged into poverty, significant loss of life, and we are still struggling to recover today. Legislators, new parliamentarians, if you accompany them, if you support them, and with our support and others, I think you will find a lot of champions there. One third opportunity is to figure out how youth-owned and youth-led strategy related to climate change can actually make a difference, not only in the recovery effort for whenever this happens, but also in the prevention effort as well. The work that we do in UNDP related to glacial lake outburst floods, GLOF events, early warning systems, and recovery efforts, I think is a great opportunity for engagement as well. As was mentioned earlier, this year may or may not be as bad as 2022, but we know for the most part that the level of rains that are happening now just around us here, but there have been already some GLOF events in places that we actually work in Upper Chitral, the same place that myself and the High Commissioner inaugurated a girls' school, rehabilitated because of a GLOF event up on the very, very far side of Upper Chitral in Breb. The future is having to adapt to climate change. Mitigation is even better, and I think we need to think about how to promote that. There's no way that we can talk about the impact of climate change and youth and civil society without thinking about jobs. And I think that's very important. If young people are concerned about the future, then imagine how many jobs get wiped out because of a particular event, or the opportunity that comes with some kind of green transition. Often that looks tech, often that looks like solar energy, often that looks like other opportunities that actually come from this green transition to clean energy as well. We were happy that among the many activities that we did over the past few months, we have been able on climate resilient business management practices, disaster risk reduction, digital skills, entrepreneurship, and industry-based trainings that relate to sustainable climate practice. And this is where I come back to another important opportunity that we did with the Commonwealth, which is the launch of the State of Youth Entrepreneurship Ecosystem in Pakistan, launched together with the Youth Collab and UNDP, City Foundation, the Commonwealth, Islamic Development Bank. And I think that was a great opportunity to not only think about what needs to be done, but what is the science, what is the research, what is the theory behind it. And I think this is where His Excellency Rana Mashood, who is not here now, challenged us during that particular event to say, thank you very much, great research, great reports. Now what comes next? And I think this is often the opportunity with many of the things that we do. Please pass my message. Absolutely, absolutely. Another one for you as well, Ms. Rumina, but also for the Prime Minister's Youth Program, is much appreciation to the Green Youth Movement program as well, that is part of the Prime Minister's Youth Program. As was mentioned earlier, we're not reinventing the wheel here in 2024, not in 2023, not in 2022. Many of the initiatives that we are actually discussing go back a decade or more, especially here in Pakistan, especially for young people. We are happy to engage with the Green Youth Movement program and look forward to working on that as well. Maybe this is where I actually close, just to say that it is okay to think about the impacts of climate change on development, development practice, development policy, development finance, climate finance, etc. But I think overall, what I mentioned earlier, this chat that I mentioned around the relationship between climate security, between human security and sustainable development is really quite critical. The way we are talking about climate change now actually is an existential issue. It is about lives lost. It is about livelihoods lost. It is about significant displacement that often happens because of climate change. So this is not only a theoretical issue anymore. It's not others people's business anymore. It's everyone's business here in Pakistan. So once again, thank you for the opportunity to join this particular event, and looking forward to quite a lot of follow-up that comes out of it.
Thank you very much for highlighting the initiatives that UNDP is taking. And I think two very important points that can be extracted from your speech. First is bringing youth at the table. Your voices, yes, that's good, they're there, but how you are becoming a part of the policy process and what actions you're actually taking, I think that is what also matters a lot here. And talking about entrepreneurship and capacities, I think with this, I would also be inviting my next speaker, but the youth entrepreneurship and also the eco-entrepreneurship along with the green skills, you all must agree that, with these skills, we can play an instrumental role in driving local climate action. I remember last year with the Canadian High Commission, STPI conducted a hackathon on food security where we were able to identify so many youth-led startups that are actually working on sustainable solutions, on agri-tech, on climate tech. And we did their mentorship along because of the collaboration. And I think that these kind of initiatives, hackathons, ideathons, where youth can be engaged, where the solutions can be highlighted, they need to be, more in the country where we have a youth world, and we need to project more ideas. And I think if I'm talking about green skills, UNICEF Pakistan, they're playing an instrumental role when we talk about the capacities, building capacities of the youth, the green skills. And I think with this, I would like to invite the next speaker, Ms. Cynthia Kushner. But before that, my apologies because of the logistical challenges. You're part of the panel, but we were not able to place a chair for you here, madam. So I'm really sorry for that. Please join us at the podium.
Morning, Excellencies, Madam Coordinator, esteemed guests, including our young people. Thank you so much to STPI for hosting and in the ministry, along with the Prime Minister's Council on Youth. We're at a critical juncture where the future of our children and young people are under grave threat. Pakistan, as we know, is the 5th most vulnerable nation to climate change, and it's the children and young people who are most vulnerable, of course, least responsible. While 68% of the country is under 30, 45% is under 18. And they bear the brunt of the impacts brought on by monsoons, droughts, heat, which are all, of course, increasingly intensifying. UNICEF is fully committed to fight for the children and the young people who are disproportionately impacted by climate change. It's imperative that we empower our young people not only to be survivors, but to be leaders and architects of climate change adaptation and mitigation. It's important that we harness the innovative spirit, their deep understanding, and their lived experience of the challenges in order to build a more climate resilient future. We must ensure that our investments benefit both today and tomorrow's children, with greater investment in health, education, water, sanitation, nutrition, and protection services. UNICEF partners with young people, the government, private sector, educational institutions, and development partners to ensure that young people's participation in the climate policy dialogue and the green economy. We co-create and innovate skill-building programs which can lead to gainful employment of young people in the green economy. Central to our efforts here in Pakistan is to support the Prime Minister's youth program, especially COP in my city, which aims to enable young people's participation by bringing the climate discourse to the local level, By creating those platforms for dialogue, knowledge sharing, and skill development, UNICEF is empowering young people to be agents of change in their own communities. And as young people, they must have a skill, the climate negotiations, be them national or global. In the last 2 years, UNICEF has supported over 30 young people to be a part of the Pakistan delegation to COP27-28 and plan to continue that support. Their voices, their aspirations, and their solutions must be heard. And UNICEF will advocate tirelessly to increase the participation of young people and youth in the international and local climate action forums. It's imperative that green skills is looked at holistically, occupation, technical, transferable, and transformable skills that are adaptable to prepare the young people to participate in the transition to a green economy. Under the multi-stakeholder Generation Unlimited initiative, which focuses on innovation, skill building, employability, and engagement of young people, UNICEF has entered a formal partnership with the Prime Minister's Youth Programme to strengthen, scale up, and seed new ideas to enable the transition to decent work. Through this partnership, green entrepreneurship opportunities are being expanded to young people, especially girls and women from marginalized segments of society. UNICEF is committed to fostering a generation of climate entrepreneurs and innovators who can transform the challenges of climate change into sustainable business opportunities. UNICEF provides mentorship and small grants to young green entrepreneurs around energy efficiency, waste management, and food security, amongst others. These are not just ideas, they are the seeds of a green economy that can create jobs, improve livelihoods, and protect our planet for our children. In the flooded areas of Sindh, we are undertaking skill development for adolescents who are enrolled in UNICEF's non-formal education centers. Green and digital skills are being built, and the young girls who are trained are then connected either to jobs or supported to set up green enterprises. Together, we can build a Pakistan that is climate resilient, equitable, environmentally sound, a Pakistan where every child benefits from a healthy planet and a promising future. Thank you so much for including UNICEF today.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kushna, for highlighting the initiatives. Now, I would like to invite our special guest, the Right Honorable Patricia Scotland Casey, Commonwealth Secretary General. Please give her a round of applause for her speech.
Assalamu alaikum. It is a great privilege and pleasure for me to join this illustrious panel. And so, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, young leaders, and climate advocates, of Canada said in her remarks, I am deeply impressed that here in Pakistan, the panel is not just gender balanced, it's gender heavy, because women actually in this area for this panel seem to have outweighed the men. But we are equal in quality. So that equality I see very much evidenced before me. It is an honor to be here today at this important youth and climate symposium, because as I looked around this room, I understood that in this room, there is the power, if we choose, to change the world in which we now sit. The panel represents the government, the multilateral agencies, the democracies, the diplomatic corps, the scientists, those who will come together to help us shape our future. But the most important element in this room is not just those from civil society. It's you, the members of this generation who are under the age of 30. It is your energy. It is your courage. It is your acuity that will determine the nature of our future. You are the first generation to really suffer the aberrant consequences of this climate crisis. You felt it most specifically here in Pakistan 2 years ago, and many today have already spoken about that suffering. The fact that 33 million people in Pakistan were adversely affected by the floods represents not only a significant number of your country, but represents a significant percentage of our Commonwealth population. And I think it's very important for people to understand the enormity of what you suffered, because the United Kingdom's population is now about 66 million. So we must envisage that half the population of the United Kingdom would have been adversely affected by one climatic incident. And I think it is important that everyone has talked about the pain and the suffering, because climate change is the greatest challenge of our time. It transcends borders, affecting every nation, every community, and every individual on this planet. And our young people are the most directly exposed to its impact now and in the future. It is not fair, it is not just that the burden falls on the shoulders primarily of your generation. But I do know that it is you who are going to be the last generation to be able to do something about it. And we know that Pakistan, with its diverse landscapes and rich cultural history and heritage, is particularly vulnerable to the impacts of nature change. However, we also know that Pakistan is one of the most beautiful, diverse countries in the world. And we saw how Pakistanis responded with resilience, with passion, with determination 2 years ago, which gives us all great hope. But the risk of disaster such as this, combined with the extreme heat waves, the glacial melt, and the scarcity of water and food, underlines the profound effect climate change has across this incredible nation. These environmental challenges not only threaten the livelihoods and the well-being of millions of Pakistanis, but also pose significant obstacles to sustainable development. But I want you to think of what I see, because what I see is the energy, the acuity, the wisdom, the passion, the knowledge in this room too. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to go and see one of Pakistan's primary universities. 4% of those who applied to the university got in. But what did I see? Innovation, creativity, solutions. And so as I sat watching all of you, I have to tell you, I felt joy. I felt hope. I saw the possibility, I saw our future, and it is bright. Because there's also a determination that knowing that this bulge that people talk about is the richest seam of gold that this world, and the bulge is seen across our Commonwealth, because 60% of the 2.7 billion people in our Commonwealth, who represent 1/3 of humanity from 5 different regions, small countries, big countries, rich countries, poor countries, island states, landlocked states, 60% are also under the age of 30. And that demographic means we have a chance. And we have the opportunity, if we enable our young people to obtain the sort of help, support, and technical assistance they need, not only to rise to the challenge of today, but to grapple and overcome the problems of tomorrow. Although we are at a moment of greatest challenge, we are also at a moment of the greatest opportunity. The technological advancement that we are now on the brink of taking advantage of, both digitally and through AI, will make an exponential difference to our ability to succeed. It is now anticipated that AI will add $15.7 trillion to the world's economy by 2030. It is important that we all make sure that our young people have the opportunity to take advantage of that growth in our global economy. And so you will know that the Commonwealth has launched an AI consortium with virtually the whole of Silicon Valley, that we have constructed an AI academy for all our young people to take advantage of. Because there are those who are afraid of AI. What do I know about it? It is here. It is not going away. And we have the chance either to be its master or to be mastered by it. And I believe that we can master the advantages of AI to radically change the opportunity for us to solve the world's problems. And I'll just give you one example. Because we've been working with the UN, not just the UNDP, but right away across. And I want to thank UNICEF and UN for joining in partnership with us. But we've been working with UNITAR and UNISAT and the British Space Agency in order to take advantage of the geospatial data that's available. And in the past, the computations that we were having to undertake were slow, were painful, and eventually successful. Our speed has really increased. I will tell you about one program, which is for Fiji, a small island developing state, which is really suffering and at risk because of the low sea level rise. It needs a nature-based seawall. We were able to construct a nature-based seawall plan the structure of a nature-based seawall for Fiji and make an application using the geospatial data, putting that data into a simulation lab so that we were able to successfully get from the Adaptation Fund 5.7 million pounds of dollars, I beg your pardon, for Fiji within the space of 1 year. That's an application which would have taken us 5. But with AI, we were able to do more. I'm going to have to go because apparently the PM is waiting for me. But I want you to know how desperately important you all are. And what I want you to hold in your mind is that each and every one of you have been given a real skill from God. And it's your job to find it, hone it, and use it for the benefit of others. I know you can do it. The Commonwealth will stand with you. I hope that you will have seen all the networks that we have created. Please join all of them because you are the difference we need to make. And I want to thank you all in advance for what you will achieve, what you will do together to make sure that our world is a safer and better place. And I thank you.
Yeah. With this, Madam, I would request you to please come on the stage because you have to launch the program, and I would request the UNICEF team as well. And after that, please, I would ask everybody to sit over here because there is a video message in which you're going to know what is, and I want Amna to say quickly about the program. Please.
So Prime Minister Youth Program and Green Youth Movement in collaboration with UNICEF is launching COP in my city today. And we would like Madam Patricia to please, inaugurate this.
You have to press it. Bang about it. Oops.
It's my great pleasure to inaugurate this new program.
Across Pakistan's vibrant landscapes, a revolution fueled by our youth continues to grow. This is COP in my city, where future leaders are forged. Last year, COP in my city initiated a spark, a wave of youth leadership that culminated in the unprecedented involvement of Pakistani youth on the global stage of COP28. Join me in a dynamic journey where we'll amplify our voices, debate vital issues, and tackle the global stage by storm.
COP in my city के लिए apply करें, हिस्सा लें.
Register now if you haven't.
We have to prepare women to adapt and cope with the impacts of climate change.
This year, COP in my city returns with an even greater ambition. Join us at COP in my city 2024. Register now and be the change.
With this, we conclude today's event. Thank you everyone for joining us today for this important discussion. And we do look forward to having more such discussions, and also to the youngsters here, the representatives from civil society organizations. Your initiatives, your actions matter. So let's strive together for a better Pakistan and a better world. Thank you.